Hi, everyone. It's Saturday, January 11th, and it's still got snow on the ground and it's cold outside. I mentioned yesterday that I was going to share some of my health journey and how it deteriorated. So I'm going to give you the start of it, and I'm sure that as time goes on, I'll be sharing more. But I just want to start with in 2004, I had moved from New Mexico to Texas and got a job at a local, not a local, it's a national chain convenience store gas station. And so I had insurance for the first time in decades. So in November, I went to the doctor and had a full physical. When the results came back, the doctor said, "Well, you're borderline hypothyroid," which I wasn't surprised. All of my adult life, my normal body temperature was 96.8 instead of 98.6. In fact, if I had a temperature of 98, I would have a fever. And I was also cold, easily cold, and I struggled to lose weight. I was never a skinny mini. Um, always had some meat on my bones, but I was never fat. Um, anyway, the doctor said, "I don't even know if I should prescribe you anything." "Yeah, I'll go ahead and prescribe you levothyroxine." Me being a dummy, no, I wasn't a dummy. I was uneducated because I grew up, you trusted doctors. My mother was a nurse. You trusted doctors. You trusted big pharma. You believed them. You knew they had your best interest at heart. He did not tell me that once I went on levothyroxine, I'd have to be on it the rest of my life. So I started taking the levothyroxine. In December, I lost 5 pounds. Yay! But my hair started falling out. It was in December of 2004 when I first started thinking I might end up having to wear wigs. I had long, thick hair. Thick. Don't know if you can tell, but now it's thin. There's nothing to it. I can't even hold those little snap clips in. So I was thrilled. January 2005, I forgot to refill my prescription. I wasn't used to taking pills. Um, Boy, I gained like 5 pounds overnight. I went and got my prescription refilled. The hair was still falling out. February, I coughed. I was getting ready for work and I felt something in my lower back snap. And suddenly I couldn't stand up for more than 30 seconds at a time. I was in excruciating pain. Well, I eventually lost my job because I couldn't work. I had to be on my feet at my job. I was a cashier at a convenience store. Lost my job, lost my insurance, could no longer afford the levothyroxine. From February to August, I gained 60 pounds and I developed plantar fasciitis. I can remember I was working, doing temp work at DFW Airport in the administration building. And I was sitting outside. It was 107 degrees. This is in North Texas. 107 degrees. I'm sitting in the shade and I had a sweater on because I was cold. So I started doing some research because of the plantar fasciitis. I had no insurance. I was 40, 47 years, 48 by then. And I had to try and figure out what was going on with the weight. Well, I had gained weight so fast. It had the tendon at the bottom of your feet had stretched and it was in major pain. But as I was researching, I came across this website, Stop the Thyroid Madness. And I'll try and remember to put a link below. That's when I discovered that plantar fasciitis was just one of the many, many symptoms of hypothyroidism, along with the weight gain and the hair loss and the outer third of your eyebrows being thin. So I pretty much figured I was full blown hypothyroid. I was no longer borderline. I also learned about something called NDT or Armour, which is natural desiccated thyroid. Levothyroxine is a T4 only medication. Your thyroid produces T4, turns it into T3. I think there's a T2 and a T1. Anyway, your body needs it all. In fact, your body really needs the T3 because T4 is converted to T3, and T3 is the active hormone. And let me lay a little groundwork for you. When you go in and your doctor's going to test your thyroid, pretty much the only thing they're going to test is TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's produced by the pituitary gland. That's here, thyroid's here. And if it's high, that means your thyroid is not producing enough thyroid hormone, and the pituitary is going to stimulate. It produces that TSH to stimulate the thyroid to produce more. They don't test anything else. And it's a sorry, my cat just get down, stink pot. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's another symptom of hypothyroidism is brain fog and memory. There's a whole slew of symptoms. Someday I'll sit down and go through all those symptoms and what I had and how they appear. So what was I at? Okay, so learned about NDT, Armour, and that it was desiccated from either cow, bovine, or porcine, pig thyroid. So it had all of the thyroid hormones that your body needs. And so I went back to the same doctor and I asked him to put me on Armour, not levothyroxine. I'd learned my lesson. Sure, he agreed. Put me on Armour. I was working at home at the time, and so I had to be pretty uh, disciplined to be able to sit at my computer. I was writing content for a website, building a website for someone else, and the lack of concentration was a problem. The very first day I took that Armour, I mean, I was working. 8 hours went by, and I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" About 10 days in, all of a sudden the brain fog was back, the lack of concentration. More research discovered, okay, about every 10 days, you're going to have to raise it a little bit. So I did, using up my prescription, of course. So when I went through it faster than I should, I went back to the doctor, and he was very reluctant to raise it. Most doctors, and he was a DO, they don't know very much about the thyroid. They have their own little, niche of what they understand. And even endocrinologists, who are supposed to be the experts, they know diabetes, but most of them know squat about the thyroid. What they know and what they learned was TSH, test with TSH. If it's high, give them levothyroxine. And they're taught, oh, there's a range. And if you're on the low side, then you give them levothyroxine. If you're on the high side, if you're in that range, you're good. What they don't teach them is that you can be hypo or hyper and be in range. So that range they have is highly suspect. It's like high blood pressure. Okay. Used to be normal was like 140 to 90. Oh, but they weren't selling enough thyroid or high blood pressure medication. So we're going to lower the range of what's normal so we can sell more blood pressure medication. That's how it works. So you have to be out of the range. If you're in the range, you can still be hypo, still be sick, and they'll prescribe you other kinds of medications like antidepressants. That's popular with those with hypothyroidism. Antidepressants, all heart meds, everything else. Anyway, eventually that doctor said he could no longer be my doctor because I was wanting to up my thyroid, the armor, more than he was comfortable with. So that left me the next 15 years with no medical. So I had to do my research. I discovered I could buy NDT from overseas without a prescription. I had to try and take it according to how I felt. Weight was a big one because when my thyroid, I was getting the proper dose, I would start losing weight. I wasn't going crazy with it. It wasn't dropping off, but I was losing weight. And I was clear headed. I didn't have aches and pains. I wasn't cold. And so that's what I did. Unfortunately, that came back to bite me. Um, I'll go into that later in another one about the dangers of self-medicating, but and how to do it wisely. But this one is really about the levothyroxine. I absolutely hate it. One other time, several years later, a few years ago, um, I ended up in a doctor's care. She wasn't really a doctor. She's one of those physicians, assistants or whatever. Um, and she said, "Well, if you're going to be my patient, you're going to have to take the levothyroxine and do what I tell you." I was desperate. By then, I'd already developed atrial fibrillation. I had congestive heart failure, all a result of the hypothyroidism. I, I said, sure, I'll follow it. I'll take it. And gained weight. And felt terrible. And at some point, She ran a test, and I called into the office. I said, "Could I get the results of that test, please?" The very next day, I received a letter from her office. "We're letting you go as a patient because you're not following what the doctor's protocol." I had followed everything. Evidently, I wasn't supposed to request my test results. So I've fired more than one, and I've been let go by at least two. So it's been a journey. But when it comes to levothyroxine, I tell everybody, see what you can do with diet first. There's diet, there's supplement. Your body, your thyroid needs magnesium, D3, K2. And you can get they come together. D3, K2, all together. Your thyroid needs iodine. I grew up in Michigan, which is part of what they call the goiter belt. And I can remember as a kid, there was a lady in my grandma's church. She had a big old goiter, big old thing. Of course, I just knew she had this. But evidently, it's very common. And iodine makes the difference. So there are things you can do to treat the hypothyroidism naturally before relying on levothyroxine. I believe levothyroxine destroyed whatever thyroid function I had. Before going on levothyroxine in 2004, I could go on a low carb, high protein diet. I lose weight. Easy. Easy. I never had a problem. And once the weight was off, I could go back to normal eating and the weight would stay off for a long time. Not after that. There was a 1 month period where I went low carb to the point where I was no carbs. I was so low on carbs. It was ridiculous. I didn't lose a pound. In fact, I gained weight. Of course, now I understand the correlation between your body thinking you're starving and slowing down your metabolism even more, going into starvation mode. But all I know is that ever since then, following a keto or even carnivore, if I'm not taking my thyroid medication, I don't lose weight. And right now, I'm actually really struggling because a couple years ago, I lost around 70 pounds. I went from, actually a little more than that. My highest, I was 269. And I had gotten down to 187. I felt great. I was looking good. And in the last 6 months, I have bounced. I do that bounce, 187, 188, 187, 189, 189, 188, and back and forth and back and forth. Today I weighed in at 212. And it's just, yesterday, what I have to eat. I had my breakfast shake. I do the powdered protein, Premier Protein. Did that. I had water. I had a keto coffee. I had 2 sausage patties and some shrimp heated up in the microwave and was served with Alfredo sauce. I do like Alfredo sauce. And that's it. And I went up a pound. I'm in ketosis. So I should start losing weight. But there's some other things going on, and I'm not sure what's going on. Of course, it doesn't help. I forgot to take my T3 last night. I take it at night before I go to bed. I guess I'm going to have to redo the alarms on my phone to remind me. at 8 o'clock at night to take my pills. Anyway, if you go to the doctor and they want to put you on levothyroxine, I suggest you do your research, look into natural desiccated thyroid, look into treating it naturally with diet and micronutrients like your vitamins and minerals. Don't just jump on the levothyroxine bandwagon. Chances are you will regret it. Okay, it's been a little over 20 minutes. Um, if you had a similar experience with levothyroxine, share in the comments. I can guarantee I'm not the only person that's had that experience. In fact, I know there's a lot of big people who have been on levothyroxine for years. They still have hypo symptoms. They still can't lose weight. They still have brain fog. They still are cold. So let me know below. And if you would, subscribe, like. Okay. Talk to y'all later. Bye.